Hey there, Michael J. Flores here with another Berlin LCQ qualifying deck list. This time we are looking at Oscar Almgren's Blightning Beatdown, which the poet Jagger might have said was a red deck that he wanted painted black. Oscar wanted it that way anyway. Don't worry if you didn't catch this deck quickly enough. In the likely event you're first watching this on Top Decks, Oscar's list is probably right next to the video. If you're on YouTube, click right here and watch it on the blog. The list should be right there. I'm calling this deck Blightning Beatdown. Blightning is a 3-mana red and black sorcery that deals 3 damage to a player, that's the red side, and forces him to discard 2 cards, being the black side. This card is pretty exciting because there have been many times when a card along the lines of Stupor has been good enough, and Blightning is just that much more valuable. This deck plays Goblin Death Raiders at 2. This is a really interesting decision. We have talked in previous videos, blog posts, articles, side conversations at tournaments, on the phone, and on the podcast about the right 2-drop in the red deck now that Blood Knight and Keldon Marauders are gone. Goblin Death Raiders frankly does more damage than any of the 2-power options we've discussed, and tramples over a wide variety of blockers. Plus, if you have one of this deck's copious removal cards, it just does 50% more damage per attack. Must be nice to be painted black. Speaking of being painted black, this deck runs Bitter Blossom as a redundant 2. Bitter Blossom, while not a creature, is probably just the best 2 in Standard. My friend Osip said the worst thing about Standard is that a Fairies deck can just play this on turn 2 and win most of the time. Well, Blightning isn't Fairies, but we'll see that Bitter Blossom is bitter awesome in this deck too. You might have noticed Tarfire in this deck over Shock in the other option. With no Tarmogoyf in the format, my guess is that it helps Figure of Destiny out by keeping Auntie's Hovel untapped on turn 1. Ready to see some discard spells do some damage? The opponent in this one is a black-green Elves deck. He opens up with a Thoughtseize. When I'm playing a red deck, I usually don't mind getting Thoughtseized. Even here he is taking a card that would theoretically cost him 2 cards and 3 life, our namesake Blightning, and in a second you'll see him rip Flame Javelin out of our hand. That would typically cost us 3 mana, whereas over 2 turns he's actually javelined himself and spent all the mana. Right after we get in for one with the figure, we're going to spend our 2 mana on Bitter Blossom. If you haven't actually seen it in play in an aggressive deck, this one shows how demoralizingly powerful Bitter Awesome can be on turn 2. 2 mana, and that's a Wren's Run Vanquisher. Just about the best play this deck can make on turn 2. On our upkeep, the first of many Bitter Blossom tokens. Main phase, we're going to point Incinerate at the Wren's Run. Perfect response, and our spare mana goes into the figure. Here we come for 2. Here's a Civic Wayfinder that we saw last turn. It's meant to slow down our figure. Here comes another Bitter Blossom token. Okay, attack. Obviously the fairy token can't be blocked. He's going to block the figure. We're going to spend RRR, and that's going to knock us down to 16, largely based on collateral damage from the Bitter Blossom. Otherwise, we're in for 1. He untaps and is getting ready to attack with the Mutavault. Of course we don't block the Mutavault. You only get in trouble with Bitter Blossom when you start blocking. Alright, we're pretty much just going to attack with everybody, and he's going to have an Eye Blights ending, which is going to kill our Figure of Destiny, but on the other hand, Demigod of Revenge looks safe for now. He takes 2, and he's down to 10. It's about the same as last turn. We're going to let the Mutavault come in and hit us. We're winning the race as it is, and we've got a handful of red cards. Speaking of our handful of red cards, he's tapping most or all of his mana here to put down a Civic Wayfinder. The coast is never going to be clearer. End of turn rolls around, and we're going to seize the opportunity. We're going to send Tarfire at him, and we're going to send Flame Javelin at him, even at the grievous cost of 2 of our own life points. We're in a spot now where any burn spell or a land for the Demigod is going to win the game. We don't draw either of them, so we're just going to attack for 2, put him on 2, which is going to keep him out of being able to defend himself with Cloud Thresher. Meanwhile, we have 2 fairies back to block if we want to, but it doesn't get that far, and that's the concession. So that's our quick look at Blightning Beatdown. This deck has a lot of the same things going for it as the straight red deck, but more flexibility and the awesome power of Bitter Blossom. I could see it being a contender for states. That said, Bitter Blossom and especially Sulphur Springs make this deck look a little bit worse in the mirror. So play it at your own risk if you're worried about demigods. Either way, good luck whatever you choose to play. This has been Michael Flores. I hope you liked it.